we're spending money on something and we're not seeing the growth.
They've literally used this as their strategy to grow their business, where they've said, we're going to...
So do you want to be independent or do you want to be dependent?
I don't understand any of that, so like, I need you to do this for me.
Don't leave us. Keep on coming back with your money.
The main mistakes that we see happen, and then I think we can get...
They've got you in a trance.
Usually one or a combination of the same three things. And I'll tell you which one's my favorite, but you've got...
Then there's the people who are stuck at 10K who should really be at 120K a month and $1 million plus a year. And they don't know how to get through this plateau.
How are we going to take that attention and then actually turn it into revenue?
I need a social media person full time, and I need somebody who does all of this full time. I need a marketing person full time. What are they actually doing?
Harvest is good this year, and we're just going to try something new, and maybe, and I don't know.
Maybe do something, but it's just so random because you don't know what you're actually doing.
And would make more money and have more impact if they actually took a look back at their offer.
If you can't handle it all, then it's time to fix that problem.
All of us as entrepreneurs deal with it at some point. Like, we're going to have certain things that we're better at and serve us during a stage, and we need to know when to
the Dream CRM Machine.
Chase as many ideas as you possibly can to get some kind of traction.
Is your business supported by a bunch of gypsies who are sending you monthly retainers who don't care about your goddamn business?
You can look at any of these big companies and look at the problem that they solve.
Do you want the masters of trance, or do you want the ninjas of excellence?
If I invest X amount of dollars, time, energy, people into traffic,
make yourself indispensable to the person that's paying you a check, you create livelihood, loyalty, and respect forever. You'll be on the same playing team, and when you go, that person will open doors for you wherever you need to go.
Like, do good work, be good to work with.
Hi, thanks for the follow. Poof poof, love love.
You're always sending me cool stuff, and there's some conversation that we've been having lately, but I want you to walk me through the boat that people are missing, especially in the hospitality space, where I think they're really, really good at making money, driving revenue, creating in-person experiences, but are totally missing the boat when it comes to digital. It seems like everyone hits the same wall. What's that wall?
Well, it goes back to what I would consider one of the boondoggles of the century, Gabriel. And we talked about this on another episode, and it's now one of my favorite words, boondoggle.
Good old boondogglers.
It's like the whole boondogglers. And in the boondoggler camp is like, they have candles and little beef roasts, and every night they have their campfires, and they sing and they dance, right? And this camp of boondoggler gypsies, the website people, the social media managers, the PR teams, all of them love to conjure up this witch's brew of confusion and monthly containers. And they forget the one thing is that, like, they're all there beating their soul to the one drum of your business. But they're forgetting that all that energy and all that awesomeness needs to be captured into a CRM tool. And if there's no CRM tool, we consistently pay retainer after retainer after retainer for effect, after promise, after false delivery. And it feels good in the moment, but it doesn't get us up the thing. That's the plateau. We're spending money on something and we're not seeing the growth. So there's fatigue. How would you like to walk to the end of the earth on a flat Nebraska forever? Wouldn't you like to see some hills, a little countryside?
Yeah, and you kind of shared a number which I thought was helpful because, if you're looking at your profit and loss statement, your P&L, where money comes in from for a business. So you might be a brewery, and you've got people that are coming in to eat at your establishment, and you're also looking at the line item from, distribute, like wholesale distribution, right? So you might have a couple different line items from how your business makes money. And one of those that is like so neglected, although we all feel the pressure that we need, is digital. So it's like, okay, great. We have our restaurant or our in-person experience. We have our product and our like distribution arm, but what about digital, and like where does that fall into? And that's where I think what's interesting, you talk about, you know, all these boondoggers who are like concocting up this witch's brew. It makes me think of, I've been in masterminds and talked with consultants and agency owners who have talked about, they've literally used this as their strategy to grow their business, where they've said, we're going to explain the strategy and try to like break it out and make it feel so complicated that the client is going to go like, okay, like I don't understand any of that, so like I need you to do this for me. And like it's literally their strategy to cause confusion and make it feel more complicated than it should, when the answer is really one of simplicity. I don't know which author it was, whether it was like Steinbeck or Hemingway, or it was one of those guys who said, hey, I would have, or maybe it was Mark Twain. That's right. I think it was Mark Twain. I would have written a shorter letter, but I didn't have enough time. And the idea is like, to create something simple is actually very difficult to do. If we look at something like PR or social media or engagement or digital, like how do we as business owners actually make digital as profitable, if not more so, than our in-person and then our distribution? Because here's the thing with digital, it can scale infinitely more than these other channels. If we're going to do that, like how do we actually simplify it? And I think the truth is, like, most of those other ladies and fellas out there, the PR folks, the social media managers, most agencies, like they don't get it. And the only way that they can win is by trying to like make it feel very complicated or not tie it directly to numbers, which is something we want to break. Because we're like, it can't be simple.
And I think what you're pointing on, an old way, right? An old traditional way of the boondoggler. And I get it, but the old way is independence versus dependency. So do you want to be independent or do you want to be dependent? And when you create something of confusion or some witch's brew and you don't know the secret sauce or what's in there, you're dependent on that provider to feed you again and again. And when they stop providing you family and your sustenance and providing that ROI that you're looking for, then you start to question it, but you can't uproot your family because you're attached to something. And the pain of leaving them is part of the boondoggle chant. Like they're like, don't leave us, keep on coming back with your money. Like, so they've got you in a trance. And they know that it costs more for you to leave than to stay. And that's the case of dependency. And I think understanding that and treating people with respect for their business and where they're going, knowing someone, I think it's like the difference to me is knowing someone's client's client is more important than having a client for your own sake and your own vanity and your new clients.
Yep.
And I think the boondoggler camp is usually like, let's make it really cool. Let's make them dependent on us so we can use their stuff to bring in more people to the camp and put more people in trance. The people who help those become independent. Mm-hmm. I have 100% feeling in my heart that those people will go out and they will find you new business. They will be your cheerleaders for those who are helping them be that way, because it creates independency. Like, and I just think that's a big thing of like agency world. So yeah, I see the exact what you're saying.
Yeah. That's why, like, if you're listening to this, watching this, like you already know this, like you need to be the operator in your business. You need to be the one in the driver's seat. It's why we talk about, way better to have a co-pilot. Don't try to put some random PR person or a social media manager that you're paying, $48,000 a year more, or an agency you're paying $10K a month. Don't try to put them in the driver's seat. You want to use those assets and those resources, but like you need to be in the driver's seat. You want a co-pilot. And you'd shared this deck with me, which is pretty killer, the Operator's OS upgrade, which I think we could kind of start the conversation here around, okay, well, first off, what's the problem even we're trying to solve when it comes to this plateau that people are hitting when it comes to digital? Like, what are like the main mistakes that we see happen? And then I think we can get prescriptive with people, and we can share like what to actually do about it. But before we get into strategy, like we have to be clear on, okay, what's causing the problem in the first place. You want to walk me through kind of the diagnosis?
Well, yeah, and I think you kind of pointed to something, but I think to really root down, I think we need to talk about this 10K plateau. Like, what is the 10K plateau?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's just necessarily like, I make $10,000 a month. I don't know where my next paycheck is coming from, and I would like to make $40,000 a month or 50. That's a whole game changer. So there's that. Then there's the people who are stuck at 10K who should really be at 120K a month and $1 million plus a year. And they don't know how to get through this plateau, so they're running around. Then there's people who are spending $10,000. There's another audience is there's 10,000 people are spending $10,000 a month in ads, SEO, website, social media, marketing people, traffic, some kind of campaign, and they're not seeing. It's just a flat line.
Yeah, like you told me
line.
about this a ton, because I think so many of the clients that you work with, you see their budgets and like line items of where things are going, and easily many of them, if not all, are spending 10K a month or more on PR, website, social media, these different things without having a clear like, okay, what's that doing for me and my business? How am I getting a return on this? They're just they feel like, oh, it's just part of doing business. Like, this is just a line item that I have to have out there. And what we're saying is like, no, it doesn't have to. And the reason why they're not getting that return are the things that we're seeing here on the screen.
Yeah, and I think that people just don't know how to uproot and get out of the trance. I need a social media person full time, and I need somebody who does all of this full time. I need a marketing person full time. What are they actually doing? Are they showing a number at the end of the month to you to say, you paid me $8,000 this month, boss. I brought you in $80,000 worth of business.
Yeah, we know that's not happening. If it were, you'd be spending a whole lot more than 10K, because you'd be like, oh, every 10K I get 80. I'm going to keep doing that over and over. But like, here's why that doesn't work, right? Because, and it's usually one or a combination of the same three things. And I'll tell you which one's my favorite. But you've got the offer problem, right? Where you feel like you're kind of Frankensteining things together, and you don't, if we're going to make money on any sort of investment, the only way we do that is with offers. You have an offer for a specific experience, a specific product. It's how you wrap and package the thing that you sell, right? So we've got either an offer problem, there's a conversion problem. It's like, okay, we actually don't know how to, we need to admit that we don't know how to take a press release and actually turn that into revenue. Like, what's the conversion mechanism? How are we going to take that attention and then actually turn it into revenue? And then my favorite is this one here on the bottom right, which we see all the time, the random acts of traffic. We've all been taught as kids that, random acts of kindness are a good thing. And we take the same approach in our marketing, where all of a sudden we just think, oh, we're going to do these random acts of traffic. We're going to put a press release out there, or we're going to start doing social media or pay someone to run some ads for us and just hope that turns into revenue. It's like, no,
or we're going to do gift bags at a festival, or we're
right?
going to send influencer kits out, or we're going to run some ads to fill our valleys this month because business is down.
Yeah. Would you ever do that with your product?
Random.
If you got a vineyard, are you ever going to treat like your process of making and delivering wine with like that sort of randomness? Like, okay, I really sure hope harvest is good this year, and we're just going to try something new, and I don't know. Or, you're cultivating an experience for an event. It's like, no, like everyone watching and listening to this could probably like give me down to the nth degree of detail of like exactly their process for cultivating a product, for cultivating an experience. And like, you've got to do the same thing when it comes to traffic and with your marketing and your social engagement.
100%. And like, I just got off a, conversation with somebody who thought like ads, like running ads, but it is like, that you can do it. It's right there, and that the act can maybe do something, but it's just so random because you don't know what you're actually doing. You don't know where that investment is driving revenue. And the more that I dug into it within 3 minutes, it's a sales problem. It had nothing to do with advertising incoming leads. They have more demand than they know what to do with. They just don't know they don't have a salesperson who can deal with it. Operator is in the weeds doing work. Well, owner 1 in the weeds, owner 2 in the weeds, salesperson on vacation. So what do you do? Like, in a classic example, I was just like, it's not about building traffic. All you're doing is adding to a place where you can't handle it. Like, it's good to have a demand gen or a lead gen problem. If you can't handle it all, then it's time to fix that problem. Don't add to it, right?
Yeah. I think fixing the right problem in the wrong order is the wrong problem. And really just meaning, like, if you have certain things that are working already in the process, like, let's go find the thing that will make the biggest difference, which to your point, I think we both agree on this, like, step 1 for almost every business is going to be the offer, right? Because, like, you could have the most whiz-bang experience or marketing or press or social media, you name it, but if you don't have clarity on that offer, you don't have that irresistible offer, then really none of the rest of it matters. So we got to get that part dialed in first. Am I off base on that? Or like, if you were to kind of assess, like, how many businesses you hop under the hood of and are working with and see on a regular basis, how many of them out of 100 would you say could be well served and would make more money and have more impact if they actually took a look back at their offer?
I think half of them don't even know what their offer is.
Yeah.
And I think half of those their team doesn't even know what their offer is. Meaning, if anyone was stuck in an elevator, they wouldn't be able to tell what they're selling. Like, you can root down into, like, brand and identity issues, but if you root down and you have an offer issue, that's a whole different location to be in. And I think at a clarity stake, understanding your USP and your offer and who you're going to give this to and what problem you're going to fix for them within a 15-second, like, it's either 15 seconds or 15 minutes. They either get it in 15 seconds or they think it's going to fix my life in 15 minutes. It's hope.
Yep.
Either it's so clear and so direct and so laser light, or it's 15 minutes of, like, this could fix my world. Like, that's an offer. If it's not like that, it doesn't fix, and we all deal with it. But when you got too many things on the table, you better be an empire builder.
Yeah. With like an irresistible offer, with, like, the most epic offer, like, if we had an incredible irresistible offer, how many problems is that offer going to solve? How many what's the way that I could put it? Like, if I am the consumer, I'm in your market, and you're marketing to me, or I'm one of your patrons looking to buy, should your offer, like, hit on, like, so many different things for me, of, like, desires and things I'm after and so many different problems? And I know the answer to this, but this is one of the mistakes I think that I tend to see. Or should it just be, does it need to be really focused? Does it need to be, like, solve one thing really well? What's your stance on that?
I think it's a 1.
Yeah, 100%.
I think it's clear. I think it's sharp. It's quick. And, like, the more we're talking about this conversation seems like a plateau problem. How can you fix a plateau problem? The plateau problem is that almost everybody has some type of plateau in their life where they would like to see the increase, right?
Yep.
That's top of funnel. That gets about anybody listening to the conversation.
Yeah.
Now, I agree that I have a plateau problem. How are we going to fix it? Well, let's stop Frankenstein your offers. Let's give you some really predictable routes of traffic, which are going to provide some conversion that you can actually predict revenue. Like, it's just a triangle offer, a triangle model. And you just keep rolling, and then you shift from survival to scale because you found one, things that work, right? And I think a lot of us keep polishing beyond the polish
Yeah.
to figure out what are we trying to do and what are we trying to solve. Like, I am a guy who over processes everything. Like, it's a fault of mine, but it's also the success of my company. Like, I won't put something until it's fully tested and tried out in the marketplace, because I know it's going to cause me to do it while it's up in the air, right? So I just have like this over processing flaw, and some things it works with, some things it doesn't.
Well, so
And you
yeah,
got to know.
it served you, like, right? It served you when you were getting started, and it served you up to, multiple seven figures. But to go to the next level, it's the classic, okay, what got us here won't get us there kind of a thing, which,
Correct.
all of us as entrepreneurs deal with at some point. Like, we're going to have certain things that we're better at and serve us during a stage, and we need to know when to put that thing down. And when, like, hey, if we're gonna go to the next level, we maybe need some new tools or a new process that's gonna get us there, right?
And I'll just show you this one,
Yeah.
and then I'll bounce out. But like,
Yep.
this is your current. You're stuck, right? I don't care if it's a 10K or if it's a 10K in people and 10K in advisors, whatever, right? Current reality is you're stuck somewhere and you want to get unstuck, and that's what you're buying. That's the offer. So typically those are Frankenstein offers, customized for every client. Content looks like the content gets likes but doesn't qualify leads. Random acts of traffic, DMs, discovery calls, lead nowhere. People reaching out to you, leads nowhere. That you're just not figuring out. For me, sometimes very sensitive is the engagement part of things. But like, let's say that you're just stuck in reality, but you want to go to the future state. So let's say you want a 10X it. So how do you do that? And this is like your wheelhouse, I know, but like you're talking, like one signature, highly profitable offer that you pair with one consistent traffic source that brings in leads, and then you have a systemized conversion machine. This is what we call, in my world, the Dream CRM Machine.
The Dream Machine, the Dream CRM Machine. I love that. Yeah. No, it's spot on. I think it's what we did with Strike Point when we scaled to 25 million a year in revenue, hit the Inc. 5,000 list of fastest growing companies. Did that 2 years in a row. A lot harder to do the second year than the first, because when you're already growing, to like add more growth on top of that gets difficult, right? And I think the thing that we did really well there is we got super clear on what was the one thing. There were a lot of shiny objects that we ended up saying no to, that in the early stages. And again, this is where sometimes early stage, when you're trying to get product market fit, if you've heard that term before, or you're just trying to, you're like, you've got an idea, you want to put it out there. Hey, we think like this, like nobody has this chili crunch product, like, and we were going to make the best one, or nobody has this in-person brewery experience, or this venue, or this trip, whatever your offer is. You're like, okay, when you're in that phase of just trying to, like, I call it validating the offer, meaning can we go to market, get someone to pay us for the thing to prove that like this is valuable, and then that's something we can scale. In that phase, makes a ton of sense to try to chase as many ideas as you possibly can to get some kind of traction. But then once you do, the thing that allowed us to scale at Strike Point was getting really like dialed in on what was that one thing. For us, it became selling media. It was a media business. Like, okay, we could take on all these really cool, fun projects. And I remember sitting in a boardroom with our CEO, president, myself, and we were looking at our business model of like, in our president, myself, we were kind of like on one side of the fence, and then our CEO, Jeremy, was on the other side. And he was like, well, we could go a couple different paths here. We could go work with all these really like incredible brands and work on these custom bespoke projects every time. Or there's this other company that was kind of in our space that we kind of pointed to, or said, or we could do kind of like what they're doing, and they're doing like multiple six figures a month, selling the same thing to the same clients every single month over and over. Like, which one would we rather do? And it made sense because Jeremy's like an artist. He's a creative, which I am too, But I saw the art and the creativity in creating the system that would grow the business, not in having to like do the custom bespoke work every single time. And so Brian and I were like, well, we'd kind of rather have that business where we can sell the same thing to the same people every single month and make more and more money and have more and more impact. And we ended up kind of like coming to that, like, okay, well, how can we do that and still like tickle the artist's fancy of like, hey, what are the things that we need to do to still feel like creative and fulfilled on the creative side? And we can do those things, but those things don't necessarily have to be the things that are going to make us all a bunch of cash. So let's build the model around like one irresistible offer, one very clear traffic source. Like, how are we going to go and get this kind of clientele? And then what's our conversion mechanism for that? We did that, and we went to 25 million. We hit the Inc. 5000 list. We're able to do that on repeat. And we've got other friends and colleagues like from that business that are still in that space. This one guy in South Dakota, his name's Matt Paulson, is like the Baron of South Dakota. Like basically owns the state. The dude's flying in PJs to the Vikings games every weekend. He probably does more for the economy in that state than any other business does in that state. And the only reason why is because Matt has stayed really focused over the last 14 years on one offer, one problem. His like the main thing he does, he builds email. He has a single email list that he grows to give people information on like what's happening in the markets and stocks and investing and that. And he's got like one product that's $40, and he does a bunch of advertising revenue. And his like model's very simple, but it hasn't changed. He's stuck with it. He's stayed with it, and he's grown a freaking empire called MarketBeat. Sorry, that was
MarketBeat.
I was just
That
was a lot. I kind of went a few different places with that, but all that to say, this stuff works if you can stay on the problem long enough. Matt would have never gotten there. We would have never gotten there with StrikePoint if we had continued with random acts of traffic, if we had a Frankenstein offer, if we weren't clear on how we were turning digital into conversion. But we got really clear on all of those things. We got really clear on our offer, and we made it irresistible, and it was very profitable for us. We got really clear on how we were generating traffic and where attention was coming from, and we got really clear and very focused and had one method of taking that traffic and turning it into revenue. Not 10, not 20, not even like 2 or 3. Like we had one. Oh, and you're muted. It's red.
I just touched it.
You just touched
Don't be so sensitive.
You know?
Gosh, don't touch your mic. Shut you
do.
down. So you were able to dial in one irresistible offer, or as you say, these guys picked and solved for one big problem for one specific one specific buyer, and focused on one clear outcome.
Exactly.
And traffic source.
Yep.
It's not a no-brainer. I mean, this is how people sell at scale.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, you can look at any of these big companies and, look at the problem that they solve. Uber, okay. The ability to have quick and easy rideshare transportation. Like, I need to get from point A to B, and I don't want to like how am I going to hail a taxi? Where do I got to go to find a taxi? I just know that the second I get off my plane at the airport, I can open up the app and make sure I've got a ride to my destination, or we're going out for the night, so like I don't need a DD. So like they've solved one very clear problem, which is getting people from A to B that don't want to take taxis and don't want to drive themselves, right? You look at any of these, like the Airbnb thing. Like I want to go somewhere cool. I don't want to stay at a hotel. And at one point, like those were both kind of crazy ideas of rideshare or staying in somebody else's house, and now they become commonplace, which wouldn't have been the fact. I mean, Slack's another good example. Slack, which I know a lot of companies use Slack, a messaging app, didn't even start as a messaging app. They were building a video game. They were a gaming company. They just happened to use, they built their own communication tool to communicate amongst their team. Their game never took off, but some of their investors were interested in their communication platform, and they realized like, oh, so again, early stage, shiny object syndrome, probably a good thing. But as soon as they realized the golden goose was that one problem, which asynchronous communication amongst teams is a problem we're solving, they went all in on that one thing, and now it's a multi-billion-dollar enterprise.
Well, I think there's a lot of hopefully interesting conversations that are happening right now, and people who are listening and in their minds and saying, well, maybe this doesn't connect to my business because I'm just doing this and I'm in the grind and I'm not going to be $1 billion PJ fly and going to games. And, and I think there's still some golden nuggets here. And, it's just settle on one thing and focus on one scalable traffic source and one conversion system, like a sales team who does it, right? And at the end of the day, the things that you're talking about, Gabe, is that there's people out there that have like different ranges of like execution and teams and like vendors, et cetera. Like one thing that you got to consider is the difference between, I'm going to go back to this boondoggle trance camp, right? That is your business supported by a bunch of gypsies who are sending you monthly retainers who don't care about your goddamn business? Mm-hmm. Or is it a group of ninjas over here who are perched around a fire, subsistence eating, and basically they're practitioners of excellence and survival, right? This is a lean team versus a gypsy dancing party team. Yeah. Which one do you want? Do you want the masters of trance, or do you want the ninjas of excellence, the practitioners of survival, right? And if you look at like how you build your team, who you support, that's who represents you and your business and your brand. So though you have one offer and you have one source of traffic and you have one system, if your sales team are a bunch of gypsies, you're going to have gypsy results.
Yeah.
If they're a bunch of ninjas, you're going to have ninja results.
For this too. There's an easy way to test to see like whether you got ninjas or gypsies. Just ask them, okay, like help me understand like what's our offer? What in like one or two sentences, what is our offer? What's the thing that we're actually selling out in the market? 2, what's our traffic strategy? Like what is the where are we getting attention in the market? Like what's the channel, and how, like what is our actual traffic strategy? And then on the conversion side, how do we take that traffic and turn it into revenue so that I can point back to my business and go, if I invest X amount of dollars, time, energy, people into traffic, I get X return on conversion. So if you can say, hey, here's what our offer is. Here is our our singular most important traffic channel, or one place where we can go get a bunch of attention. And then 3, like here's our strategy to convert that attention into revenue. And if they hem and haw on like, well, like we can't be responsible for that, like we're just the people that help you with the reputation, or we just help you on the brand side, or like, hey, we're just here for the organic content. You're like, ding ding ding, like you got a gypsy.
Yeah, and I think you can feel it in your gut. I was talking to a dentist the other day. She's like, I got my own practice. I'm going to go do this. And I'm so excited. It's going to be the greatest. Like I'm going to start my own business and something I've dreamed about, through dental school and everything. And I have this PR company who's going to do this for me, right? And I was like, all right, well, how do you feel about that? She goes, I don't know. I'm like, that's your gut telling you the right answer, right?
Yeah, the last word in that sentence was the right answer. It was no.
Gypsies love gasoline. They want the spark. They want to dance around the uncontrollable fire, right? Yeah. Don't give them a chance. Be the person who designs a lean, mean team who gets things done. And if you can't put the systems on the team, it's the wrong team. Yeah. And I'll give you a clean example of like For me, like, let's call the hotel space. Hotel has a vendor, they're going to pitch like, all right, so you tell me, what are we doing for our clients and what are we selling? Like if I give you $10,000 a month, what are we selling? Oh, we're going to do heads and beds and we got to get people to the property. Okay, well, is that the mission statement? Is that the guiding vision? Or are we a luxury hotel brand that brings together community, good causes under a beautiful roof? Those people who say two different things, it doesn't matter who's doing your social media. That's what your social media person should be oozing out of their heart for your brand. Not, hi, thanks for the follow, poof, poof, love, love, comment, heart, like, bye. I hate that shit. Like, I just hate it. Like, I'm like, why can't you take 15 seconds to treat a potential customer with some respect and with some like, hey, I see you, Gabe. Right. Good family, faith-driven, pleasure. Thanks, man. Have a great day. Thanks again. Keep shining.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not rocket
build some
science.
trust with me versus just like shove me off as like, I think those type of people who don't understand brand mission, tonality, and expectations from a brand of what we're doing, trying to sell, are breaking. That's why you don't have one offer and one scalable traffic source, because that person doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
They're there to clock in, clock out.
Yeah.
Ninjas don't clock in, clock out. Once you ninja for life.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the classic, like, oh, not my problem, not my job kind of approach to things, where you'll know, like, in your gut. I mean, I don't think I've ever hired someone who was not an A player or didn't seem like an A player right out of the gate. Like, I knew right away, like, every single time, within the first week, if not shorter. I've had people that have definitely leveled up, where like they maybe didn't have some of the tactical skills required to be that A player, but like they had the bones and the character traits and the approach, where you're like, oh, they're just missing some of the tactical, practical skills. It's the same thing with some of these boondogglers. Like, right away if you've been Now, there are folks out there that are really good at that game, that are like, they are savants at the boondoggling. I mean, that's the classic. Who is the guy that Leo played in that movie, Catch Me If You Can? Frank something. I thought it was Frank something. Anyways,
the pilot.
Yeah, the guy who like pretended to be a pilot and pretended to be a professor and pretend like there are folks out there.
And Jim Carrey just did a big con man movie as well.
Yeah, like those folks do exist, but for most of us, like, in your gut, you get that like little tingly sensation pretty quick. That's the classic. When you ask the question of the dentist, like, oh, how do you feel about that? I don't know. Like, that's your gut telling you, like, okay, this is not. Because if it were super clear, it would be a hell yes. So if it's not a hell yes, maybe it's a no thanks,
Yeah. I just want driven people who want to go from unpredictable to unstoppable. Can you give them my phone number, please? If you're out there, call us. We want to introduce you to some great clients. And, to do that, you need to know how to either support the people who are building a business that create freedom and not friction, or to help find the people that you believe in, that you can jump on their team to reduce frustration, to increase profitability. That's indispensable, right? And I don't know how many people I've coached on my team that worked for me and go on to make more money somewhere else, which I believe is the American dream. And I don't ever stand in the way of that. And I've watched a lot of business owners be like, if you leave me, you're done in the industry. Fuck that shit, right?
Yeah.
But it's this concept of be indispensable. Just truly make yourself indispensable to the person that's paying you a check. You create livelihood, loyalty, and respect forever. You'll be on the same playing team. And when you go, that person will open doors for you wherever you need to go. And they'll never want you to leave because they'll pay you more because you're indispensable.
Yeah.
Otherwise, join the boondoggle camp. It's right down the street. They're
Yeah.
open. They're doing auditions right now. Like
Totally.
have fun.
Like Steve Martin said it best. Be so good they can't ignore you. Which is, and I tell my kids all the time, like, you got 2 jobs. Like, be good, like do good work, be good to work with, and that's that idea of being so good they can't ignore you. Make it easy for your customers to buy from you, to engage with you. When you have a clear offer that is focused, that is irresistible, you make it easier for them. When you have a clear place that you go out and you start conversations, which that's all that marketing is it's getting people's attention to start a conversation, whether it's one-to-many, one-to-one, doesn't matter. And then when you have kind of a clear path for them to go, like, hey, here's how we can help you with that problem, or here's how we can help you fulfill that desire that you've got. Here's how we can give you that experience. And great, that's how you help. That's how you do better work. That's how you become better to work with, both amongst your team and within, your partners and folks that you work with, partners, vendors, you name it. But also how you do that, for your clients. Don't be like the boondogglers who try to make everything so complicated that, like, your clients, your team, whoever is dependent on you. Like, oh, we've got to have Gabe because he's I couldn't do what he does. It's like, no, I don't want that. Like, I want to make it so simple that the path is so clear. It's like, awesome. Now that the path is super clear, like, let's roll up our sleeves, get to work. Let's create some awesome experiences. Let's have some impact. Let's drive some profit. Because I know the thing that the boondogglers don't know, which is, sure, like, you can sit at the teat of $10K a month for your little retainer that you're making or whatever, or we could 10X that. I become indispensable. You tell everyone about me, and we do a lot of fun projects and make a lot more money doing it that way. That's a much more fun problem to solve, in my opinion, than just trying to keep people in the trance.
Oh, I love it. People like the trance, though. It's comfortable in the trance.
It is.
But, I think you said it best, Gabe, that random acts of traffic are going to kill your business. And you have to be able to identify what is a Frankenstein offer that you're currently stuck in a reality, which is a little bit of a ball of confusion for people to buy from you. And you want to go to this future state where everybody wants to buy from you. And to do that, you need to dial in one irresistible offer. You got to price it. You got to solve one big problem. And everybody needs to be able to figure it out. And you're doing it for one very specific person. You focus on a very clear transformational outcome. And if like basically what I said, if it's not a no-brainer, it won't sell at scale. If it's not productized for a 15-second fix or a 15-minute hope window where the person sees it and says, that's going to change my life, your offer is not irresistible. You pick one scalable traffic source, choose a platform, and master it. And focus on consistency, because you can't be everywhere and just try to be everywhere else at the same time. Like, you need to focus on one place to suck them all in, and you attract your qualified leads, and then you have a system built on one simple conversion mechanism. That is how your team works, and it's repeatable. My
language. Systems are sexy.
Some examples are like DM-based sales, social selling, 15-minute qualifying call, video sales letter, recipe books, how to do this without doing that, like really cool things that changes people's lives. And those random leads that were equaling random results will start to disappear. And you'll get into the space of controlled conversion that equals predictable cash flow. That is all this whole thing is about, right? I mean, otherwise, join the gypsy camp. They're down the street and the ninjas are just waiting to take them out, So,
oh, yeah. Way more fun to play with the ninjas.
And that's how you go from unpredictable to unstoppable.
Boom. I think that's it, man. I think that's the pod.